My name's Chloe Sunderland. You guys know me as Chloe Roma, and I'm here today to share my life story with you guys. Um, we're going to talk about a whole lot of things, and I'm nervous and I'm excited. I'm nervous because I'm not great at opening up, um, great at listening, not so great at speaking sometimes, but I'm excited, so let's get it. My story actually starts on the other side of the world in Romania. I was born in 97. I was born in a time that Romania was in a huge crisis for adoption. They were shutting down for adoption. Um, the biggest reason was because these families were adopting these kids from orphanages and sending them back to their countries on airplanes by themselves. So it was super sad. So I was brought to Canada in 99. I have an older sister in Romania. My mother was 18 when she got pregnant with me, 19 when she had me. She left me at the hospital and didn't tell anybody she was pregnant. The police showed up at my grandmother's door with a baby and was like, oh, and my grandma was like, oh, Valentina did it again, because I guess she hid my sister's pregnancy as well. My grandma took care of me for 2 weeks, and then my mom came back and took me and put me in the orphanage. The orphanages in those countries are not like the adoption processes here, where a family can just claim that child and be like, yep, no, I'll be the caregiver. If the mother doesn't consent, it doesn't happen. And so my mom needed to keep me a secret. Understandably so. In Romania, you need a man to survive, so a father or a husband. And the man that she was seeking, who she's been married to for now 20 years, still doesn't know about my existence. And 2 months after I was born, she got pregnant with my younger sister, Madalena, and which she kept. By the age of 14, I had already been abandoned by 3 families, including my birth family. I stayed with my first adoptive family until I was 9, in which I ran away and social services took me in immediately. I met another woman when I was about 12 years old who I adored, and she adored me. And she was supposed to be my second mom, my third, I guess. And unfortunately, that adoption broke down at the age of 14, and I went back into the system. Younger Chloe was not as level-headed as she is now. I was a very hurt kid. I didn't know a thing about where I came from. I only found out my family history last summer. I went my whole life believing I had an older brother because that's what they said on the birth records. Romania does not document well. I didn't know where I came from. I'd lived my whole life with this overwhelming sense of individuality that I think I still live with. I was a really angry and hurt teenager. And I think that anybody around me at the time could see that. I was really struggling mentally, internally. I had a self-harm addiction, and I know people kind of laugh about that, but it's a real thing. It's becoming addicted to that quick release of pain. There was a good chunk of my teenage years where there were CIRs written about me every day, which is crisis something reports, meaning that I had self-harmed every single day at that point. I didn't know how to handle the rejection, the abandonment, the not knowing who I came from, the trauma. By the age of 14, I had been through a majority of things that a lot of people will never experience in their lifetime. Now, I'm not going to go into the details about my first family because 12 years after separating from her and I are now friends. I love her. All I'm going to say is this. Before I could even understand English, I remember doing like play therapy and holding therapy and all these different types of therapy. Then some therapy, like holding therapy, that is now considered child abuse. You're not allowed to do it. And these were all therapies in an attempt to make me attached to my adopted mother because I had severe reactive attachment disorder. When a family breaks down, like who can you really blame, right? Like you can't really blame the kid. You can't blame the kid. You can't really blame the parents. At the end of the day, it comes down to lack of support. When there's a support breakdown, there's a relationship breakdown. And that's all I'm going to say about that. My severe reactive attachment disorder, I believe, is more geared towards women. As you know, I've had 3 mothers, and none of them really worked out. I never really felt accepted by girls. I was always one of the guys. I liked girls. I'm bisexual, so like I liked girls as well. But I just never felt accepted by them. I felt like there was always something I was doing wrong. I was too annoying. I was too loud. I was too, I didn't have the right social skills. I didn't wear the right clothes, right? Because I wore like guys' clothes for like a good chunk of my life. It's just because of how I grew up, to be honest. But I really found my place and my acceptance in a group of guys. A handful of them I'm still friends with to this day. There's a handful of them that have passed away that didn't make it out of their teenage years. But that's where I found my acceptance, and that's where I found my place. And I really attached to that. I think every tomboy in the world can relate to this statement when I say that, like, when you hang around guys and that's like consistent for years, like you're always called a hoe. You're always assumed that you're sleeping with them, that, this, that, and the next thing. And I get it that there's people that have been like, well, I've known girls that were one of the boys and then, they were fucking all of them. No, they were not one of the boys. They were a pass around, okay? That's not one of the boys. When you're one of the boys, that means that you've already earned their respect and they already know that you're not like that. I've never carried a purse a day in my life. I didn't wear yoga pants until I was like 20. I always wore jeans and like army pants and like track pants. I was never super girly. I've always felt like masculine, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word. I feel like I was supposed to be a boy, but if I was a boy, I would be gay. It's the only way I know how to explain it. In reality, though, the disconnect comes from abandonment, and it comes from, that specific attachment issues with women. That's a fact. I can recognize that. There are a lot of people from my past and like a lot of girls, a lot of those girls that never liked me, never accepted me, that are coming forward now and being like, she was a bitch, she was a bully, she was a gangbanger, she fought people. Well, let's address that. First of all, I'm only 22. I'm gonna be 23 June 1st, so I'm not very long out of that like teenage phase that everybody goes through, that angry, rebellious, Mine was just more so at a higher level because I didn't have anybody. And so that just, again, left me feeling so individual, but also so angry because I didn't really know who I was, and I built myself, I raised myself. I would just like to state officially, I've never been in a gang. but I can understand how people saw us as a gang. I mean, shit, we were called that our whole time together. And I understand why. Here you had a group of people who were called the Heritage family. Here you had a group of people that all came from different walks of life. Some with parents, with both parents, with split parents, with gay parents, with no parents, homeless. We all came from different walks of life, but we all had something in common, and that was that for one reason or another, we needed each other. And so there was a big group of people that would hang out at train stations because we were teenagers and we didn't have nobody's house to go hang out at. We would go hang out in the basketball courts and play basketball after school until it got dark and it was time to go back to the group home, and that was my life. And so, yeah, I can see how people perceived us that way. But if you were in our family and you knew who we were and you were there with us, then you knew that it was not like that. It was a freaking family, right? But here's the thing. Everybody along the way pisses people off. Everybody along the way makes enemies, says something to somebody they don't like, especially as a teenager. Like, who doesn't? There are some girls coming forward who I could see would have a legitimate reason for being like, fuck Chloe. Yep, I get it. We didn't get along. But here's the thing though. To other people, I can't control what other people do. I can recognize that I'm a different person, right? But they don't owe me that, and I don't owe them my time to try to prove that to them if they're not even willing to have a conversation with me. But at the end of the day, I'm not that person anymore. But I don't blame half these people for not believing that or not seeing that. Because after I got out of my domestic relationship, after I stopped doing illegal activities, after I became a mom, I transformed into a different person. I calmed down a lot. I started crying about freaking everything. And my heart just grew like the Grinch. But at that point in my life, I had no trust left for people, and I still don't. The people that I've tried to let into my life threw it back in my face, even though they seen that I was a good mom. They seen the connection my kid and I had. They seen how intelligent she is. If anybody could have spoken to what a good parent I was, it would have been them. But instead, here they are, hopping on the fuck Chloe train. But my point is that for those other people, I never allowed people to get to know the new me. And I did that on purpose. So I can't blame people for still focusing on that person that was just angry and bitter years ago. I got into physical altercations. Yes, I was the one girl running with a group of boys, and that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to prove yourself, as again, any tom girl in the world can relate to that, tomboy, sorry. Be like, yep, not that easy. It's not like, hey, let's be friends. And they're like, okay, no, you got to prove yourself. Especially running in a crowd like I did. We were a bunch of rowdy kids. Have I gotten into physical altercations with males in my life? Not domestically, meaning not in a relationship. Not me throwing hands. Let me correct myself. Have I gotten into physical altercations with the male gender? Yes, absolutely. And I'm not going to hide that. But I'm going to make it very well known. And again, people can take what they want. They can take it as, oh, she did it. Or you can just listen for a second. When you do the things that we did, running around, shit-talking people, just being teenagers, that stuff happens. But I always had a code. And anybody that isn't fake as shit and trying to hop on the hate train that could actually be like, yeah, that's true. I'm sure that they would say that because I had a rule. If I had to like throw the first punch to a guy, I would hit him one time. And if he didn't hit me back, on God, never, ever did I go for a second swing, because that is fully taking advantage of the fact that they don't hit women. And I've stood by that my whole life. However, 9 times out of 10, they'd sock you back. And then it's fair game. Because if you're gonna step up and try to fight like a man, then you need to accept if you get fought like a man. Like, it's pretty simple. The same thing is on a street. If you are a guy with your guy friends and you're at a bar and there's a group of ladies and you have one that is coming up to you and repeatedly punching you in the face, if you have tried other ways of like de-escalating the situation and it hasn't worked and she keeps going, you should absolutely be able to defend yourself. Because if she's gonna step up to you and say, hey, I wanna fight like a man, you better be prepared to be fought like a man. No? Am I just ghetto? Is that just my city? I have never gone out of my way to maliciously beat somebody up, and that is a fact. However, that could also be a matter of perspective, because here's the thing. Everybody that has made whatever choice in their life has at one point or another believed that it was the right thing. We believe that we're fighting for the right thing. And I always said that to people. I remember saying it. I don't fight unless I have something to fight for. And I meant that. And I stuck by that. If you were a pedophile, yes, we are scrapping. If you hit your girlfriend, yes, we're scrapping. If you hit your boyfriend, oh, we're scrapping. It's just the way of life, bro. It's, as a teenager. Now, of course, I'm 22 years old and I don't believe in throwing hands anymore. I don't. However, if I was out and I needed to defend myself, I would still defend myself because I'm a human being and I have the right to do so. But I'm not involved in that life anymore. I'm not angry anymore. I don't feel the need to prove myself anymore. Like, I'm a mom now. I'm not like that anymore. And I mean, looking at my hands alone, you can just see how scarred and like twisted my fingers are from just the way I lived. But you can see physically from who I am, how I speak, what I do, that that's not who I am anymore. So the people that are choosing to hang on to Kat, because that's what they called me, that's your problem. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I've been struggling about it over the last month and a half because all I can think to myself is if these people would just give me 5 minutes, they would just talk to me, they would see I'm not a bad mom. My kid is almost 3 and she's like developmentally 5. She's a genius. She's not learning her letters and she's learning like fractions and vowels now, and she's not even 3. The point is that people live with hate in their heart. And I'm at a point now, in this moment, where I'm okay to say that that's your problem. Because I'm not going to live my life feeling like I constantly need to defend myself. Because I lived the majority of my life like that. And I'm just not doing it anymore. I have stayed away from bullshit since I was a teenager. I hate indulging in that crap. I've never read the statuses these people have made about me, their videos, even before anybody knew my name, when it was just people in my city just shitting on me. And even still, I want to share with you what happened to me last summer. Because there's a good chunk, about 3 or 4 of these girls that are making all of these fake accounts to shit on me and say that I'm a bad kid and that I blow weed smoke in my kid's face and like that I'm a prostitute. And I want to share a story about these people. Last summer, I had a really good group of girlfriends. So I thought. It was the first time in my life that I surrounded myself with girls. One of them I'd known for 7 years, and I still miss her daily. But she's posting me on the dirty, so the feelings are not reciprocated. Long story short, I was in a really dark place. I had undiagnosed BPD, and it was really fucking up my mind. I was really suicidal, I was really depressed, I was undiagnosed, and in a span of 23 days, I'd gone to the hospital to get admitted 3 times. 3 times I went for help in the span of 23 days. At the time, last summer, Hosanna had her godparents involved in her life, who are no longer a part of her life. And but she would go there every weekend and hang out with them, and I was like, she loved that. That was her breakaway from me. I got a break. But unfortunately, you know, when she would go, that's when I would get into my darkest mind states, because I was depressed and I was in a dark place. But when she was with me, and as a parent and one that struggles with mental health, when your kid is awake, you put you pull every ounce of like happiness, even if it's like you find it in yourself and you put it all together and you compose it into this ball and you present it to your child, because that's what you do as a parent. But when she would go to bed or when she would leave, everything that I was going through would just swamp my mind. I felt so alone, confused, fucking alone. I'd reached out to, you know, this group of girls for help. You know, we were all the same age, so, you know, they couldn't really help me any more than I could have helped myself at the time. But when I had my suicide attempt, I took a full bottle of one of my girlfriend's, antidepressant medication, which was wrong. But I didn't think I was coming back from that. And when I was in the hospital, the side effect from that medication was amnesia, as well as I'd gotten tranquilized twice because I was aggressive, because I didn't understand why I couldn't be with my kid. I went into the hospital on Tuesday, and I came out on Friday. And when I went in on Tuesday, I had all of my friends. And when I came out on Friday, I had fucking nobody. I had nobody. I found a group chat on my phone, which all of them had participated in, telling me that I was a sociopath. I didn't love my kid, and I was a terrible person. And I understood, because I can see how, if you don't have a kid, I can see how you could see that way. But I'm telling you, as a parent, and as a good parent, we live, eat, breathe, wake up. We live for our kids. They are everything that keep us going. And when there comes a time when that's not enough, that's a really, really dark place to be in. I just felt abandoned. I felt like I started a band and stopped getting invited to the rehearsals. I still, to this day, have a hard time fully really understanding what happened, or why I really lost them. Because I didn't do that to hurt anybody. I just needed some help. I didn't tell anybody before I did it. I just did it. I wasn't thinking of them. And I know that you could say that that's selfish or I didn't care about them, but anyone that's been in that dark of a state, you can't think of anything. All there is just darkness. I lost a lot of people last summer, and it was good. It was really good because it forced me to find that strength in myself that I don't think I quite found yet. It just sucked that it had to happen that way. Because I've dealt with abandonment issues my whole life. And that was a lot. Those same girls are the girls that are making these posts and all these fake accounts saying that I abuse my kid and I blow weed smoke in her face and that I'm a prostitute. And if you're watching this, you know the truth, and I know the truth, and that's all that matters. You know, I know, and God knows, and that's enough for me. After that, I will very openly and honestly admit that I went on a super sexist rampage. I took all of my anger towards the women that had hurt me in my life and placed it towards women as a whole. And it was wrong. I've been quoted to say some disgusting things about sex workers, about, my heart was always in the right place. It stemmed from frustration of the way that men are treated in society. But the majority of it came from me reflecting my bullshit onto other people. And I can own that. I do own that. I've said some shitty things to people that have had nothing to do with them. It was about me not being happy enough with myself and confident enough about what I'd gone through and what my story was that I felt like I needed to take that out. That's how I felt was the right way to project my anger. And it wasn't. And it didn't last very long. It lasted about 5 months. And then I disappeared for a year. I worked on myself. That's after, I disappeared after all of that, after those girls had fucked off in my life and, made up these rumors, leaked my photos, leaked my phone number, wouldn't give me my fucking house keys back, like just high school stuff. But after my mom, the first adopted mom, the one that we now speak after 12 years, she talked to me and she said, because I was trying to advocate for men's rights then, and she said, you're doing it in such a poisonous way. You cannot have it come from hate. I was like, you're right. I took a year off. I spent that year by myself. And here I am. I came back and I feel like God was kind of like, now you're okay. Now's the time. Sorry, I get emotional saying that because God and I have a really twisted relationship. And I feel like he left me here a really long time ago. I went through so much pain. And now I get to do what I love the most. And I get to do it in a healthy mind state. which is a fucking blessing. I don't have negative feelings towards women anymore. I have negative feelings towards certain women and certain aspects of society's women, but I don't have hate for women as a whole. I've seen, like, even women throughout this movement has restored my own faith in seeing, like, hey, there's a lot of people that agree with me, and I felt alone and really unaccepted by women. And so if you're a female that's watching this and supporting this movement, I want you to know that it means a lot to me. And thank you for giving me the acceptance that I genuinely wanted from females. I laugh when people call me like a pick-me girl and they say it's about a guy's attention. It's not. I feel like a guy. I am a fucking guy. Well, it's not. I've always wanted to be accepted by other women. I've wanted them to just accept me for who I am, what I look like, and what my beliefs are. And I feel like I have that. So thank you.